Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Gail Carson and welcome to the bonus video for the SOB Recipe for Living Life with Gusto at Any Age. Now hopefully with the videos that you've already seen, you're at a point now where you're really happy with your progress and you've accomplished a lot, and you've also done all those worksheets that we gave you so that you now have a feeling of accomplishment and you're okay. But I thought this was a great program to add to this, because this is the exact one that I did for 5 years for IBM managers, the exact program. So I hope you enjoy it, because this is all about getting what you want through assertive communication. And just to go over once again what assertiveness and passivity and aggressiveness is. Assertiveness means I believe that I have the right to state my thoughts, feelings, and opinions as long as I don't hurt anybody else in the process. That is being assertive. Aggressiveness is believing I have the right to state my thoughts, feelings, and opinions without caring about anybody else's. Now there's hostility there, and that's the difference between assertiveness and aggressiveness. And passivity means I do not believe I have the right to state my thoughts, feelings, and opinions. And therefore, eventually that turns into passive-aggressive behavior. And I have a great item to read for you from the people who distribute the I get an meditation every day, and I thought this would be perfect to read to you. But let's get started, first of all. And people are divided, and many times you might have heard this, but I'm going to make it so simple that you're going to be able to just get it like that when you meet somebody. I divide people into 4 categories, A, B, C, and D. So when we look at the person who's an A, I'm going to give you the descriptors of these people. So see if you know somebody who exemplifies these adjectives. The A person is someone who is very direct. The A person is someone who wants to be in charge. I don't know if you know anybody like that, but I'm going to just now give you some adjectives to describe the A personality. The A personality is someone who gets to the point right away. They have power. They have control. They want authority. They want challenge and prestige, and they want results right away. They want you to have agreement with facts, and they want advancement. They're not willing to stay in one place. If you employ an A person and they don't get a promotion, they're not a happy camper, and they're not going to be with you very long. So usually you're going to find the A's at the very top. That's just where they are. They want variety, and they want directness and to-the-point conversation. They want to stick to business, to stress logic, and to relate to end results. So what do you do when you negotiate with a high A? And believe me, I have really negotiated with a lot of high A's, and really it's great, because they do make a decision right away, because they are in control. They're very egocentric, they're practical, they're dominant, they're pushy, they know what they want, they must make the decision, so let them make it. And they're abrupt, they don't have feelings, they're not insulted, and they're in a hurry. So if you want to get something done with an A, you need to know what you want, get there in a hurry, no dabbling around, be the decision maker if you're dealing with them, because they do not want to have to go somewhere else for a second opinion. If you're dealing with them, they want you to be able to make the decision and get it done. They want everything on one page. They're not going to read more than one page. They don't get into a lot of detail with them, and be able to set goals and objectives that they can relate to. Have several things, options that they can choose from, but be prepared for a short session, because you're in and you're out, and they don't necessarily go by what's done in the past. They have things organized. So let me tell you about my experiences dealing with A's. My situation is that I worked with a lot of corporations, and I worked with a lot of entrepreneurial companies too. And at the head normally is an A, because they're the ones that are going to get to the top. I've had to tell some of those people that they were the problem, and they did not like to hear that, and many of them did not invite me back. But A's are great if you can get them in the right context, because they are direct. They get right to the point. They will give you a decision. They're not swayed by emotions, and they want to get the job done, and they want to be at the top. So an A is a great person to work with because you're going to know exactly where you stand. Let's go on to the B. Now I'm going to tell you right up front, I am the B, okay? This is a person who loves people. And of course, they like recognition. So I love getting lots of awards because that's very important. And they don't really have any controls. And they love to influence. They love to motivate, which is one of the reasons why I was a good speaker, because that's a skill, being able to influence. And loves friendly environments and lots of fun. And that's another thing. Bees love to be around themselves, and that's a disaster because nothing ever gets done. We all like to get along and talk and have a good time, but we don't necessarily get everything done that we should be getting done. Another thing that a bee likes to do is, as I say, ego gratification. So if you can make them the star, if you can make them the person who is the one that's getting the credit, they love all of that kind of thing. They're very popular, and they like being popular, so they love walking into a group and getting to know everybody. They like good working conditions because, again, they like to have fun. They like to help others. They don't like details, and they like to talk, and they like democracy. So, for example, if you give me something with graphs and charts, I zone out immediately. My mind is gone. If you give me anything with a lot of details to it, my mind is gone. However, put me in a room where I don't know a soul, I will walk in and I will probably know everybody by the end of the night. That's the skill and talent of a B. Can you imagine the great team that an A and a B will make? Although they will drive each other crazy, but they make a great team because the A makes the decision. They'll be able to look at something and analyze it just like that. And the B will make sure everybody feels good about what's going on. So let's talk about the characteristics of a B and how you negotiate or talk with them. They are very social and enthusiastic, so they're always willing to go anywhere there's a great party. They're spontaneous and they're free-spirited, so you never know what they're going to do because they're just whatever. I go with whatever. I mean, you want to introduce something new? That's fine with me. Undisciplined, I have to say I am disciplined, but I'm disciplined because I've had to be disciplined. I could not run a company if I wasn't disciplined. But left to my own devices, I can be very undisciplined. Impulsive, likes to talk. That's one of the reasons that they're good speakers. Persuasive, that's why they're very good in a group because they can sway people over to their side. And of course, can be superficial and very friendly. Now, the superficial is not really because they're false people. It's because they're going along with the tide of what's going on with everybody else. So they want to make you feel good. They want to make you feel like you belong. So they really don't pay too much attention to details. And so sometimes they get caught up in that flow, and that's what makes it difficult. So if you want to get along with them, make the time to talk to them. You can't just go in like with an A and say, okay, I have this decision now. This is what it's about. The B wants you to say, hi, how are you? How's everything? Family okay? Things going well with you? Then you can get into the conversation. But they don't want you to get into that conversation to begin with. But they like things that are fast, and they like things that are different. But they don't want those details. So don't clutter things up with the details. They want you to be flexible enough that you can make changes or roll with the punches because they're spontaneous. So they're willing to go with whatever. They love a visionary and future approach because, they're open to everything and they love people. So if you say, hey, we never did this before, but this might be a good idea, they're all for it. They're willing to try anything. They like to hear themselves talk, so you might have to put the kibosh on them. You might have to say time. You might have to say enough. You might have to say we're coming to a close, whatever. But the bees do like to talk. And they want a close relationship. They can't understand why you might not like them. The B's are just the kind of people who think, well, everybody likes me. Why don't you like me? I mean, I'm a good person. So the B's, where the A's don't care. They don't care if you like them or not. Just get the job done. The B's want to be liked and have a good time. And I would suggest summarizing your thoughts when you're dealing with a B, because they've already forgotten the first thing you said. And that's why, they can't ever remember what was said to them. So it's kind of important, to make sure that you're in there telling them what's involved. So the B is a really great person because of course I would say that because I'm a B, but the B is a really great person because they're easy to deal with and easy to talk to. And they're pretty amiable. I mean, they're going to get along with you just fine. But put a bunch of B's together and it's horrible. Let's move on to the C. Now, I'll tell you something about the C. The C is the glue that holds an organization together, because the C is the one who knows where all the bodies are buried. They know exactly what needs to be done. They follow directions beautifully. They want everybody in the organization to like everybody else in the organization. So the C's are happy, though, being the follower. They are the person who likes the status quo. They don't want to see you, changing things too rapidly. They like stability. They don't want heavy decisions. One of the hardest things for a C is change. A C is someone who is very happy going along for the next 10 years the same way. I mean, they just really don't like change. But they do like security. They do like appreciation. And they do like sincerity. I mean, they do not want to be lied to. Lie to a C, and you have cut yourself off forever. They will never believe you again. They will never trust you again. And that's kind of good, I think, because, this is a true blue friend for you. They want an agreeable environment. They don't want an environment that everybody's, having a tough time or gossiping or, doing things that would be detrimental to the organization. They don't want that at all. And they do have patience. I mean, they can do something. The A would forget about it already. The B would be, are you kidding me? But the C has the patience of Job and will work and work and work until it's done, and it's done correctly. So they have a tremendous amount of patience, but they do like to have their opinion asked. And the reason is they have been there forever. They have been doing this job forever. So they know the things that need to be done. So why not ask me? I mean, I know what it is and I have the opinion for it. However, they want a non-threatening environment. They don't want anybody to really challenge them. They don't want anybody to throw something at them. They're not for that. And they like steadiness and they like support. So this person makes a great number 2. This person makes a great executive assistant. They make a great customer service type person because they want everybody to feel good. And they are very, very loyal. Very, very loyal. So how do you deal with a C? How do you negotiate with a C? Well, since they're very steady and they're very dependable, they don't like change and they're possessive. I mean, this is my chair. Don't ever go into their office and try to take something from their office. Don't try to take their chair or their desk or whatever, because they're very possessive about their stuff, so to speak. They are supportive. They're cooperative. They want things to go well. So they're behind you 100%. They work at a slow pace, so they drive the A's totally nuts. The B's will get along with them because they're both friendly people, but the A's will go crazy. And they're warm and friendly. However, they do beat around the bush, and here is your passive person. So how do you deal with them? How do you negotiate with them? How do you manage these people? How do you get along with them in life? You take things slowly. They don't want to be rushed. I mean, don't you know people who say, well, maybe we'll do it this way or maybe we'll do it that way. They want things to go slowly. They want sincere appreciation and they want recognition because they do a really good job. They may do it over and over again, but they do a really good job and they are there for you. They, as I say, they are the glue, but they won't press your decision. If you make a decision, even if they think it's wrong, they're going to go along with it. They want to know that you are in charge. They won't take orders from you if you're not going to be the one who is the decision maker, and will back them up. They want the person who, you know, provides facts, testimonials. You know, why should I change if there's no one else that says they like it? If they see a lot of people who say, it's good, I like it, they're going to go along with it. But if nobody can say to them, well, I've tried this and it's good, why should I change and do something else? So they do want testimonials, and they want the data to back it up. Security is important to them, so don't threaten them in any way, and don't spring anything new on them, and get to know them personally, because these are really nice people, and they are necessary people, and they are our crux. They help us get the job done. So the C personality is the kind of person who you absolutely want on your staff. I had a very big business at one time. I had 7 offices. I had 350 people working with me. And my office manager was a C. And it was fabulous. I mean, she took care of everything, and she made sure that everything went smoothly. And I don't know what I would have done without her, because, you know, everything that I hated to do, she loved to do. So, and it was interesting, because when I was on my speaking tours and so forth, she actually could sell me better than I could sell me. Now, she would not get on the phone to make the original phone call. But if somebody called and basically said, why should I hire Gail Carson? She could do a better job of selling me than I could, because that's how much she believed in me. So the C's are really, really important. Let's go to the very last one, who is the D. Now, the D is the analyst. The D is our person who you want doing brain surgery on you. The D is the person who is very analytical. And the D is all about data, a controlled environment, a step-by-step approach, likes prepared situations, wants to know, don't throw the D into any place that, you know, is brand new. They want to know what is going on here and why is it going on. They want straight pros and cons, and they want accuracy and preciseness. Very, very, very important. They also want specifics. They want time to make a decision. They can't make an instant decision. So you can already see that the A and the D are going to have some problems together, because the A says now and the D says, got to have more data. And of course, the B and the D are going to have problems, because the B is, wow, everything is great. Isn't it wonderful? Hi, how are you? And the D is saying, what? I don't know you. You haven't shown me anything yet. So lots of conflict that I'm going to be talking about. And then, of course, they absolutely want time. They don't want any surprises. They want exactness, exactly what is going on here. And they want personal attention. They want little responsibility, and they want reassurance. So here you have 4 distinct types. You have an A who is very controlling. You have a B who is all about fun. You have a C who is the person who is, you know, the crux. And then you have the D who's the analyst. Now, you have all 4 up on your chart so you can see them. But when we talk about, you know, getting along with the C, how do you do it? And I'm going to show you some very interesting things about a C as we go along here. The C, as we know, is very organized and is very disciplined and is very detailed, but is very aloof. Cannot understand how a B can just run into a crowd and meet somebody. And why do you want to know that person anyway? You may never see them again. But the B doesn't care. For the moment, it's a great time. They are a perfectionist. They are analytical. They have, they're boring at times, but they are a great worker. They are indecisive because a new piece of data might be coming up. They're persistent, which is a very good trait. They're disciplined, they're critical, they're picky, and they're insecure. Now, let's look at that for a minute. When we look at that D like that, you might say, well, gosh, that's horrible. That's great. Because those are the people we want doing our stuff. Those are the people we want preparing our reports. Those are the people we want doing our detailed stuff. If the B or A comes up with an idea, they'll work it to a point, but they're going to need that D to make sure that they have the research, the data, the facts, everything to back it up. And of course, then they need the C to put it in the proper order. So everybody needs everybody. I mean, if I had a perfect team, the A would be the president, the B would be the salesperson, the C would be the office controller, and the D would be the person who would probably be the treasurer or a finance person. So we need all these people, but they can drive each other crazy. And that's the thing. So how do you negotiate with a D? Well, you better have everything in order, because if you don't have everything in order, they're not going to pay attention to you and they're not going to handle it for you. So you need to have everything in order. You better be prepared with all the answers. Now, sometimes A's and B's don't have all the answers. The A's can make you think they have an answer. The B's won't even try. Oh, sometimes they'll try to bluff their way through, but they don't have the answers, and that will drive a D crazy. You need to anticipate every question. Whereas when you go into the A's, they're only going to be interested in 1 or 2 or 3 things, and then they'll give you a decision. The B doesn't even care about this. The C will say, well, how have other people handled it before? But the D wants the answers to all the questions. And they like to follow a format, and a format that they're familiar with as well. They're very cautious. They're not easily swayed. They want an agenda. They want to know what's going on here. You know, how are we going to do this? And they feel they know more than you do. And guess what? They do. They do. Why? Because they've studied so much. I mean, they do. They really know what's going on. So what happens? How do we all get along with each other? Well, you've got your chart in front of you. You've got the A, the B, the C, and the D. The first thing you need to understand is that the B and the C are verbal. They will talk to you about anything at any time. They are communicators. They will talk to you, the C, until you understand it, and the B until you just, don't you get it yet? I mean, they will talk you to death. Meanwhile, the A and the D are nonverbal. The A, because I want to know it in 5 minutes or less, and the D, because I don't have enough facts. I don't have enough data. So already you can see that there's a meeting where they're going to clash. So B's and C's verbal, A's and D's nonverbal. The B's and C's are people oriented. So they care about your feelings. They care about, are you having a good time? They're feeling, are you okay? Do you need some water? Are you getting along with everybody? Do you feel good? Whereas the A's and the D's are task oriented. They really don't care if you feel good. They really don't care how things are going. They only care is, can we get this done? So the A and the D have the commonality of being task-oriented and nonverbal, and the B and the C have the ability to work with people and then talk about it. There's one other big difference. The A's and B's are assertive. So the A's and B's take charge. The C's and D's are non-assertive and get run over by the A's and B's. If you have a company where you have a comptroller, you probably want that comptroller to be the D. You want the president, as I said, to be the A, and that's one of the reasons why I'm brought into companies. I have to tell very often the A that they're the problem because they don't want to listen to anybody else. Now, many of them have learned many of the great verbal skills and so forth because they've had to as they progressed, but it's not their natural self. And the B's and C's have to understand they must calm down to approach an A or a B. So, what does this do to assertive communication? There is an absolute conflict with the ones who are diametrically opposed. The B and the D make the best combination, but they're about to kill each other because the D doesn't do all the things that D wants. The D wants details, and this is how we do it, and I need to understand it. The B says, just get it done. It will be fine. Diametrically opposed are the A and the C. The A needs the C because the C does the work. But the A says it takes too long. And the C says, well, you know, you made these changes. I have to think about this. No, I told you to do it, do it. So the C, because they're very, very emotional, as is the B too. But the C takes offense when the A is saying, do it now. The C can burst out into tears, especially if they're a woman. So again, you can see this is a very, very subtle and interesting dynamic here. So your perfect team is the ABCD. Your great working together are the B's and the D's, if they don't kill each other in the process, and the A's and the C's, if the C doesn't get really upset and become passive aggressive. Now I want to read you something, and I'm going to show you that I'm reading it because I've got this from this sheet of paper. So I want to read this to you because this came from the Daily Om. I'm a subscriber to the Daily Om. And it said, coping with passive aggression. And I thought this was really good to explain to you. Passive aggression is most often wielded by those who feel powerless and want to avoid their own true feelings. Many people are taught from a young age to suppress feelings commonly regarded as negative, such as anger, resentment, fear, and sorrow. Those who cannot or will not express these emotions tend to engage in passive aggressive behaviors that provide them with a means of redirecting their feelings. Passive aggression can take many forms. People who feel guilty saying no, and there's a book by that name, When I Say No, I Feel Guilty. So people who feel guilty saying no may continuously break their promises because they couldn't say no when they meant it. I also do a mastermind group for not-for-profits group, or not-for-profit people, and who are executive directors. And we had two very influential board of directors members visit us. And one of them said a very important sentence. She said, you must learn that no is a complete sentence. However, you can see by saying no, they may continually break their promises because they couldn't say no when they meant it. Others will substitute snide praise for a slur to distance themselves from the intense emotions they feel. More often than not, such behavior is a cry for help, uttered by those in need of compassion and gentle guidance. When we recognize passive-aggressive patterns in the behaviors of others, we should never allow ourselves to be drawn into a struggle for power. That's what happens. You know, when someone gets passive-aggressive, we say, what happened? They just blew up. This is not like them. Passive aggression is most often wielded by those who feel powerless in the face of what they perceive as negative emotions, because they hope to avoid confronting their true feelings. Very, very precise and very, very interesting, very introspective. They feel they are in control because they do not display overt emotion and often cannot understand how they have alienated their peers. What did I do? Especially C's, because they're very sensitive, very, very sensitive. And D's, because they know it all, and very often they do know it all. If someone close to us shows signs of frustration or annoyance, but claims nothing is amiss, we can point out that their tone of voice or gestures are communicating a different message and invite them to confide in us. Because, you know, body language says a lot. We may not be saying it with our words or our voice, but body language can usually tell you when someone is in that passive-aggressive mode. When we feel slighted by a backhanded compliment, it is important that we calmly explain how the jibe made us feel and why. And when an individual continually breaks their promises, we can help them understand that they are free to say no if they are unwilling to be of service. As you learn to detect passive aggression, you may be surprised to see a hint of it in yourself. Coping with the natural human tendency to veil intense emotions can be as simple as reminding yourself that expressing your true feelings is healthy. It's true. If you let people know where you stand, then you don't have anything to be aggressive about, because you let people know how you feel and where you stand, and that's healthy. The emotions typically regarded as negative will frequently be those that inspire you to change yourself and your life for the better. Whereas passive-aggressive behavior is a means of avoiding change. Remember we told you the C doesn't like to change? When you deal constructively with your feelings, you can put them behind you and move forward unencumbered by unexplored emotion. Well, I thought that was the best definition of passive aggressiveness that I had found, and it's from the Daily Om, and as I say, I'm a subscriber to that. So where does this leave us with the ABCD? And you're probably saying, well, I see a little bit of myself in all of them, and that's true. We all have a little bit of it. But what is our main type of personality? I am normally a B, but I have a very high A backup. So what that means is when I'm pushed against a wall, my A comes out like crazy. For example, when I was running my schools, my big company, and I had all these people, 350 people in 7 offices, I really was a B, and I had a lot of people who worked for me who got everything done. But the point was, I was out there giving that image. When I went into speaking, I didn't have anybody but myself and my office person. And there were things that had to get done, and I had to get from one place to another, and that sometimes wasn't easy. I found I was taking on much more of an A personality because of the change of what I was doing. But my real personality is a B. You can drop me anywhere. And once I'm there, I will make friends with everybody. That's just my personality. And when I have to, I can take control. Now, does the D ever come out in me? Only when I have to figure something out. For example, when I'm doing my books or when I'm doing my finance, you don't ever want to see my books. When I go to my CPA at the end of the year to do taxes, but I have it on one sheet of paper for each category, but I don't have all these fancy things. I don't do QuickBooks or anything like that. Everything is written out on a piece of paper. My C comes out when it really doesn't matter to me. If I'm on a team and I don't really care, what happens, or, if I follow the leader because I respect the leader, or if I'm on a committee and I think they're doing well and I don't have to put my 2 cents in, I'm a great C. But my normal personality is a B backed up by an A. And each one of you has one of these major characteristics backed up by another one. So we have a primary and we have a secondary. Now, there are certain assertive techniques that you can use in communication. I'm going to give them to you now. The first one is called fogging. Fogging is when you use words like, I understand what you're saying. You have the right to be upset. I completely get where you're coming from. So it's calming people down. And if someone is really, or if they are passive aggressive, or if they are in a state where they're hyper, fogging is what you should use, because it's, I understand where you're coming from. So that's number 1, fogging. Number 2 is broken record, and is exactly what it says. Broken record is where you repeat yourself over and over and over again. I say something like, well, I understand what you're saying, but 2 and 2 still adds up to 4. I agree with you. However, 2 and 2 still adds up to 4. I can appreciate you want that kind of result, but 2 and 2 still adds up to 4. Now, you're going to drive somebody nuts, but if they see you won't come off that 2 and 2 is 4, very often you get your way. So that's broken record. The next one is a workable compromise. Now, a workable compromise really is a win-win. A workable compromise means you don't get everything you want, I don't get everything I want, and we meet somewhere in the middle. In a workable compromise, it's very advantageous for you to know what the other person might give up and what they absolutely won't give up. And of course, vice versa, them about you as well. That's what makes a successful negotiation. Nobody ever gets everything that they want, but if you know what a person is willing to give up, that's the key. So the win-win, I get something, you get something, I give up something, you give up something. The next one is self-disclosure. This is so powerful. You have no idea how powerful this is. This is an I statement where I say, I did do that. Self-disclosure. I am the one who is in charge of this. I am the one who is asking for this information. I am the one who got the ball rolling. I am the person you are looking for. It's an I statement about yourself. It's honest. It's true. Maybe they don't want to hear it. Maybe you don't want to say it, but it really puts you out in front. It's called self-disclosure. The next one is negative assertion, and this really throws people off because that's when you agree that you did it. You say something like, you're right, I did say that. Or, you're right, I did do that. Nobody expects anybody else to ever admit to anything. So when you say, you're right, I did it, you take the wind out of their sails. They don't know what to say. It's amazing how many times people have said, well, you're the one that started this. And then I say, you're right, I am. Now, if I stop talking, what's anybody going to say? Now they don't know what to do because I've admitted they're attacking me and they expect me to be on the defense. And if I say, you're right, I did it, then they don't know where to go. So negative assertion. Negative inquiry is when you ask about something that they did in a negative manner. Well, I know that you're the one who did this. Isn't that right? Now the person can say, no, I didn't do it, or they might use negative assertion on you and say, you're right, I did do it. But negative inquiry is when you ask about something that's negative, but you need to know the truth on it. So you say, well, I understand you're the one that started this whole thing. Or, am I mistaken? I believe you're the one that brought this subject up. So negative inquiry is very, very important. Persistence is very much like broken record, but it's using different words. I just told you about the 2 and 2 makes 4. Well, persistence would be, well, 4 and 0 makes 4, or 3 and 1 makes 4. So you can use different words, different ways of approaching it, but you're really saying the same thing, and that's persistence. And that is an assertive technique. Eye contact is another assertive technique. People do not like to look you in the eye. So if you can learn to look people directly in the eye, you don't have to stare them down. That's not what I'm saying. But you look at them, you might look away and come back. You might look over here and come back. You might even look down and come back. But eye contact is really, really, really important in assertion. It is impossible. It is impossible to be assertive without eye contact. That's one of the things that I found when I was working in a lot of the Asian countries. Asian people were always taught, do not look directly at somebody. Look down, look a little bit down. So when you're talking to them and you're staring at them, that's very hostile to them. So I needed to learn that when I spoke in the Asian countries, I needed to use a different approach, look down a little bit and come back up. And so that is a different situation. You have to know your cultures as well. But in the American culture, eye contact is very important. Now, free information is also very assertive. Free information is when I tell you something, I give of it freely so that you will understand the circumstances. For example, I know we're here today to get to a deal, and I just want you to know that I really do want to do this deal. I think you're the perfect partner for us. I think that what you bring to us is immeasurable. And I think we can be a perfect partner for you because, so I'm giving you free information. You're listening and you're understanding where I'm coming from. So free information is very, very important. Free information can also come from research, for example. If I do my homework, I look you up on Google, I do my research, I read your corporate reports, I talk to your friends, I talk to people who maybe you've worked with, I may talk to somebody in an organization, a community organization you've been a part of. Free information is everything I can figure out about you so that I know how to approach you and handle you and work with you better. Active listening is also important. Now, let me tell you about active listening. It's not easy. I happen to speak quickly. I've been trying to slow down for these programs, but normally I speak, somewhere about 150 to 200 words a minute. Usually, if you're from the South, you speak at 100 words a minute. New Yorkers speak at sometimes 200 words a minute. But we listen at 400 to 600 words a minute. So no matter how quickly I speak, you finish my sentence before I do. Your mind goes somewhere else, comes back, and you've lost me. And you know you've done this. You've been talking to somebody and you say, what? Repeat that. Because your mind just went somewhere. And it wasn't because you're being rude, but you just finished the sentence before I was telling it to you. And off you went in your little dream world, and then you came back. And that's active listening. So active listening means, really being able to listen, to be able to paraphrase what I've said. Now, let me just go over this again. Now, this is what I heard you say. That's active listening, because you want to make sure that you heard it the way they meant it. Very often, you hear it one way. I mean, I have had this happen to me a lot, where I hear one thing, but actually it was meant in another way. Or someone heard me say something, took it totally out of context. So you really need to pay attention to the active listening. And the last assertive technique is what's called stroking. And stroking is when you really compliment the other person. Now, hopefully you're doing it in sincerity. For example, Jane, I've heard so many good things about you, and I'm really looking forward to working with you because they tell me you're just terrific to be with. That's stroking. Now, hopefully you mean it, but stroking is making the other person feel good about themselves, about you, etc. I mean, it's a great, great technique. So that gives you the various assertive techniques that you can use, along with the different personality styles and how to negotiate with them and talk to them and present to them. And let me just go over that one more time to make sure that you've got it. When I go into an A, direct, to the point, give them 3 choices. I better be the decision maker. They want an answer now. A B, I'm going to schmooze a little bit. I'm going to talk to them, make them feel good, compliment them on something, and then get down to what I need. The C, I'm going to go in, I'm going to stroke them a little bit. I'm not going to throw them a curve. I'm going to have presented something to them ahead of time. I'm going to make sure they understand how to do it. Then I'm going to let them give feedback back to me so we make sure we're on the same page. And with the D, I am going to make sure I have all my ducks in a row. I'm probably going to have somebody else prepare the document for me. I'm going to ask another D, perhaps. I will ask another D. What am I leaving out that needs to be in, etc. And by understanding these people, believe me, you're going to get to a win-win faster. And I have to tell you, in all of my work, I have had my biggest problems with D's because I'm not detailed enough for them. I'm not organized enough for them. But they're my best partner. And I am their best partner because we complement each other. Now, the A's and the C's cannot get along without each other because the C will do everything that the A doesn't have time to do. And the A will progress and go into the future where the sea would fear to go. So I hope this was helpful for you. Remember, if you have any questions on any of the modules, you can always email me at gailcarson13@gmail.com. I'm always here to answer your questions. If any of you are interested in getting private coaching with me, if any of you would like to go into a group coaching program, if any of you would like to have any work with me in my media training, any of those things, I'm here for you. So please let me know, and also let me know what you think about the program, what you like changed, what you loved, what you didn't like. I'm open to that. I hope you enjoyed this bonus video, because I sure enjoyed doing it for you. This is one of my most favorite things to teach, how to get along with each other and how to get along with people. I have a whole other program on how to deal with difficult people, but we're not going there in this one. So hopefully this will allow you to live your life with gusto. And that's what it's all about. If you cannot get up every day, as you know I say, with a smile, and live it with passion and joy and happiness, what's the point? And if you can't go to sleep and say, wow, this was a real worthwhile day, then what is it all about? So again, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you soon.